Hello, and welcome to WarThunderLore. The F2A, also known as the Brewster Buffalo, was a fighter plane that played a significant role in the early stages of World War II, particularly in the Pacific theater. The sleek design of the F2A was a hallmark of its time, with its smooth, streamlined fuselage and retractable landing gear. The Wright 1820-34 radial engine gave the F2A a top speed of around 320 miles per hour, and the plane was armed with two 50 caliber machine guns and two 30 caliber machine guns. The selection of the F2A as the next generation fighter for the United States Navy was a complex process that involved a number of factors. The Navy's Bureau of Aeronautics issued a request for proposals in 1936, seeking a new carrier-based fighter to replace the aging F2A biplane that was then in service. Several aircraft manufacturers submitted designs for the competition, including Brewster Aeronautical Corporation, Grumman Aircraft Engineering Corporation, and Vought Sikorsky Aircraft. One of the key factors in the selection of the F2A was its performance in flight testing. The Navy conducted extensive flight tests of the competing aircraft, evaluating their speed, maneuverability, and other performance characteristics. The F2A, which was then known as the F2A1, performed well in these tests, demonstrating good speed and maneuverability that exceeded the requirements of the Navy's specifications. Another factor that may have contributed to the selection of the F2A was the reputation and history of the Brewster Aeronautical Corporation. Although the company was relatively new at the time, it had a reputation for innovative design and technological expertise. In addition, the Navy was interested in fostering competition between different aircraft manufacturers, and selecting the F2A may have been seen as a way to encourage innovation and progress in the aviation industry. The decision to select the F2A over other competitors was not without controversy. However, some observers criticized the Navy's decision, arguing that the F2A was underpowered and overweight compared to other aircraft in the competition. In addition, some criticized the design of the F2A's landing gear, which was seen as overly complex and potentially unreliable. The F2A was initially praised for its speed and maneuverability, but it later became criticized for its poor performance at higher altitudes. The plane's weak armament also came under scrutiny, as it was no match for the more heavily armed Japanese planes that it would face in battle. Despite these challenges, the F2A saw action in several early battles of the Pacific theater, earning a reputation as a fierce dogfighter, able to hold its own against more advanced planes. One of the most significant battles in which the F2A played a role was the Battle of Midway, which took place in June 1942. The F2A was used by Marine fighter squadrons based on the island of Midway and saw combat against Japanese planes. The F2A was outclassed by the faster and more maneuverable Japanese Zero fighters, but it was able to shoot down several enemy planes. Despite its limitations, the F2A played a critical role in the defense of Midway and helped to turn the tide of the war in the Pacific. The F2A was also used in the Guadalcanal campaign, which began in August 1942. The plane was used by Marine fighter squadrons and saw significant action against Japanese planes. It was also used in ground support missions, providing cover for ground troops and attacking enemy positions. However, the F2A was gradually phased out of service in the later stages of the war, as newer and more advanced fighter planes became available. Despite its relatively short service life, the F2A remains an important part of American military history. Its contributions to the early battles of the Pacific theater demonstrated the bravery and tenacity of the pilots who flew it. The F2A played a significant role in the defense of Midway, a battle that is widely regarded as a turning point in the war. The F2A's unique design features and wartime exploits make it an enduring symbol of American military technology and ingenuity. The F2A's sleek design and retractable landing gear made it a unique addition to the U.S. Navy's arsenal of fighter planes. The plane's speed and maneuverability made it a valuable asset in the early stages of the Pacific theater, where the United States faced stiff resistance from Japanese forces. The F2A's two 50 caliber machine guns and two 30 caliber machine guns provided it with some offensive capabilities, although its armament was later criticized as being insufficient to take on more heavily armed enemy planes. In combat, the F2A was a formidable opponent, able to hold its own against the more advanced planes flown by the Japanese. However, the limitations of the plane's design, such as its poor altitude performance, made it increasingly difficult for the F2A to compete with the more advanced planes that were developed later in the war. Despite this, the F2A remained a symbol of American military technology, and its unique features and wartime exploits continue to inspire awe and admiration. In conclusion, the F2A was a fighter plane that played a significant role in the early stages of World War II, particularly in the Pacific theater. The F2A's unique design and strong maneuverability made it a valuable asset in these battles, although its poor altitude performance and weak armament made it increasingly difficult to compete with more advanced planes. Despite its limitations, it was an important weapon in the American arsenal and was flown with distinction by many brave and skilled pilots. Despite being eventually phased out in favor of more advanced fighter planes, the F2A remains an important part of American aviation history. Its contributions to the early battles of the Pacific Theater, especially in the defense of Midway, helped to turn the tide of the war and demonstrated the bravery and skill of the pilots who flew it. The F2A's legacy lives on, and it is remembered as a symbol of American military technology and the sacrifices made by those who served in World War II. If you made it this far, consider subscribing and giving the video a like. It means the world to me. Have a good night.